Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. In boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose. Claressa Shields and Franchon Crews may be the most anticipated fight of the year. We are now within that 30-day window. There's been a whole lot of pressure on both of these women, especially Claressa Shields. There's obviously some unfinished business, more on Franchon Crews' side, and there definitely needs to be some focus on both of their sides if they want to get the victory. But this is what makes it all interesting, right? 30 days out from Claressa Shields versus Franchon Crews, the fight is quietly transformed from unfinished business, and this is just my opinion, into a career-defining crossroads for both women. And what I mean by that is neither one of them can lose. They can't afford to lose the fight. The first fight left questions unanswered, not because it was controversial on the scorecards, but think about the circumstances surrounding, how much time Franchon had to prepare. Just think about the timing and mental readiness. Maybe they were far from ideal. Now with the full camp on both sides and heightened expectations on the other, the rematch carries far more weight than just the belts that Claressa Shields is putting on the line. It was a full 12-week camp for both women, so there shouldn't be any excuses. Now, when it comes to Claressa Shields, man, please. You talk about a whole lot of talent right there. A whole lot of talent. And you can't tell her she doesn't have talent, because she going to let you know. But one thing's for sure. I've always said it, and I'm going to keep saying it. Claressa Shields can fight. Whatever you think about her, that's what you think. But when it comes to fighting, you can't take that away from her. But there's a whole lot of noise surrounding Claressa Shields. The fact is, right, Claressa Shields remains the most accomplished female boxer of her era. And I was doing a little digging today. I believe she won her first gold medal. I think she was 16, about to be 17. And then I think there were some rule changes. So the bottom line is nobody at age 16 can fight in the Olympics again. So I found several articles. It's kind of what they suggested. But the bottom line is, if that's the case, Claressa Shields would be in the Guinness Book of World Record for the youngest female boxer. I don't know about of all athletes, but the youngest female boxer ever to win a gold medal. I got to do some more research on that, but that's kind of what I was coming up with. But I want to dive into that some more, because I was like, man, why isn't anybody talking about this? But that's neither here nor there. The fact that she's the most accomplished female boxer of her era, that's not debatable. Okay, that's not debatable. Olympic gold medals, the undisputed championships across divisions, she'll let you know that. And the level of confidence that borders on defiance. This is who Claressa Shields is. But with that confidence has come constant friction, particularly in the age of social media. Now, I know firsthand, because if you've been following the channel, I've been keeping up with everything about Claressa Shields from a long time, and in particular the last couple of months, looking at more than just her as a boxer, kind of delving off into some other areas with the lives we were doing. And you know what I concluded is that social media is just full of drama. And in the final month leading into this fight, Claressa still appears partially engaged with some online drama. Does look like she has a good PR team around her, and they're trying to resolve some of that. But with Claressa, whether it was responding to critics, defending her legacy, or pushing back against narratives she feels are unfair, the digital back and forth hasn't fully stopped. That said, I think there was a noticeable shift, but it seems that she's kind of coming out the beltway and going to finish strong as she gets ready to cross the finish line and enter her fight on 22 Feb against Franchon. But what's surprisingly about this is this time Claressa she's not alone in navigating the chaos, right? And this is how you know somebody is trying to grow. And they do have people around them who, I would say, they want the best. And I'm not saying they want the best for her. I just say they want the best, because I think everybody has an interest. And I don't know what all the interests are. I just say people want the best for their interests. Now, she does seem to have a more structured PR team and management presence after listening to part of her interview with Brian Custer. I saw like 15 minutes. I did get to that part. And that team just guiding how she speaks, what she responds to, the privacy of her social media platforms, and more importantly, just trying to get her to understand, you got to ignore some of this stuff. That doesn't mean the noise is gone. It means it's being managed, not allowed to spiral unchecked. And I understand that, because when it comes to the social media bullshit, you got to be able to do that. You got to be able to manage this, because if not, you can get caught up in the drama and start responding to the negative, responding to the BS. Because everybody out here, most people out here, they just want clicks. And the danger, however, is that even managed distractions still consume emotional energy. And championship fights are not won just with skill, but you got to have emotional discipline. And that applies for any and everybody. I think some of us are a bit more fortunate to have that emotional discipline than others, because if all of us were out here just live wires, all hell will be breaking loose badly every day, man. So you got to have emotional discipline. Now, the focus, this is about Franchon. Despite the lingering online distractions, Claressa appears more locked in on the actual opponent than she was during the first encounter. This time, there's no short notice opponent, no narrative about stepping in last minute. This is a prepared Franchon, and Claressa knows it, I know it, but unfortunately, the whole world may not know it. I still hear people saying, this is a fixed fight. Franchon's just coming to get a paycheck, and I'll be arguing this till I'm blue in the face. Franchon is not throwing no damn fight. Claressa's not going to get herself involved in no fight that's set up. I don't even think Claressa would want someone to give her a win. And as far as other areas, I don't know. But when it comes to boxing, I feel pretty confident. She doesn't want anyone to just give her anything. She wants to get in there and earn it. But everything from her body language in interviews to the intensity she's projecting suggests a fighter who wants to make a statement. And I did hear her talk about the KO. She has a KO mindset. Dangerous or necessary? I don't know. But one thing that stands out is Claressa's apparent desire for a knockout victory. And I think it's just the frustration that's built up in her. It's just kind of snowballed into this, to a point where she just wants to explode on Franchon and basically get the knockout and get on that microphone and just go off. Like, if she gets the knockout, if they give her that microphone to talk, Claressa gonna be going off, boy. But psychologically, that makes sense. A dominant stoppage would silence critics, erase debates, and reaffirm her supremacy. But people still gonna talk, because from what I concluded from doing the 2 months worth of lives and listening to the ladies, nothing Claressa could do that to make them happy. They don't care. You know what I'm saying? They don't care. They don't care. But at the end of the day, for other people who feel like, is she focused, is she not focused, she'll definitely be able to silence those guys, you know what I'm saying? But I'm going to remain consistent with what I've been saying. If for some reason Claressa isn't locked in, 'tis the season for her to get scalped. And if anyone can do it, it's Franchon. But again, as far as her going for the knockout, strategically, I think there's a whole lot of risk there. Franchon Crews-Dezurn, she's durable, strong, physically imposing, and she had an outstanding amateur career like Claressa, had an outstanding professional run like Claressa. Matter of fact, Franchon got in the ring with a fighter who was on PEDs. I mean, I don't want to make inappropriate jokes about that person, but yo, something just didn't seem right. You know, even during the fight, I was like, what exactly is going on here? And anybody who saw that fight would know what I'm talking about. Franchon has never been an easy out. And she's shown the ability to absorb punishment and keep pushing and punching. And like I said, she is durable, man. Chasing a knockout against a fighter like Franchon can lead to overcommitting and getting clipped, leaving defensive gaps and getting clipped, burning energy early and getting clipped down the stretch, fighting emotionally instead of tactically and getting clipped. Franchon can tranquilize you. And so Claressa is at her best when she boxes with discipline, controls the range, lets dominance accumulate naturally. Boxer punches speed overwhelm you. But if the knockout comes organically, cool. That's what boxing is about. Anyone who's been inside the ring, right? You could tell the motherfuckers who've never been inside the ring. They run their mouth a lot. But for those who've been inside that ring, you know, man, you don't, that knockout just comes, man. If you out there and you're trying to force it, a person can see, they can see the shit coming. They can anticipate it. You know what I mean? But if Claressa just goes there and does what she does normally, you know, things could work out. But forcing it could shorten her margin for error. She can't afford to have any kind of errors in this fight. But forcing a knockout, now she creates more opportunities for Franchon Crews-Dezurn. And that's why with Franchon having a full 12-week camp, there's no more excuses. And Franchon will tell you, Claressa beat me the first time. But she said the facts are, I had, 2.5 weeks to train. And anybody who's ever prepared for a fight, that shit ain't right. 2.5 weeks ain't enough time. That's people who take those fights either need the money or they believe in their skills. They believe in it, or it's a great opportunity. You can't turn it down. And I think for Franchon, I don't think it was a money thing. I just think she believed in the skills and she knew it was a good opportunity. But anyway, the fact that no more excuses is kind of the philosophy. This is where the rematch, it really does shift, man. In the first fight, Franchon stepped in, like I said, a couple of weeks of preparation. No matter how tough a fight is, that matters. You could be in there against somebody who's not that great of a fighter, but they had a full 12-week camp, and they have better conditioning than you. Shit. If they can survive the first 3-4 rounds, they will whip your ass. You get tired. If your legs ain't moving, then your arms can't move. And then you can't get out the way. Then your head can't move. I'm telling you. I've seen it. I've been in both situations where I've been in with cats that get tired and I blast them up out of there. I've been in there and got tired and start that clinching and shit. And let me tell you, that ring gets small real quick when your ass is tired and you got a killer coming at you. But that being said, no matter how tough a fighter is, that preparation matters, especially when you get someone as sharp and well-conditioned as Claressa Shields. So Franchon had the full 12-week training camp. It's going to be interesting. Now, you may say, man, why y'all keep talking about this full camp? It sounds like excuses. I could understand somebody saying that. I don't agree. But a complete camp allows Franchon I just came from running for an hour, so thirsty as hell, boy. But a complete camp allows Franchon to build proper cardio for championship rounds. You got to be able to push rounds 9 through 12. You know what I'm saying? The first 4 rounds, everybody is a front runner. The middle rounds, you start to see the difference between conditioning. Some start to slow down, others start to pick it up. But it's the way a fighter finishes that tells you just the type of condition they were in. A complete camp for Franchon, in addition to the cardio, it gives her a chance to refine tactical adjustments instead of just improvising. Gives her a chance to strengthen her body for sustained physical exchanges. Gives her a chance to drill specific counters to Claressa's patterns. And it's going to give Franchon an opportunity to enter the fight mentally settled, not rushed, to know she's prepared. It's like getting ready for a test. How can you go into a test having all the confidence in the world and know you study for a test you just crammed the night before. It's a midterm. You try to cram, 12 weeks of shit and, 6 hours. Doesn't work that way. So the bottom line is there's just no shortcuts. This should be the best version of Franchon Crews-Dezurn that can reasonably be expected. Less distractions, more intent. Unlike Claressa, Franchon appears to be entering this fight with minimal outside noise. Claressa has all the noise, like Public Enemy. Bring the noise! A whole lot of noise has been brought in. She's not entangled in social media debates. Franchon Crews is out here in the breeze, eating that fried rice and chicken wings. She ain't worried about nothing. She's not addressing constant commentary. She's just training. Yeah, she get a little harassment. I see some of the shit on Twitter, but it is nothing compared to what the GOAT goes through. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't mean Franchon lacks confidence. It means she's chosen quiet preparation over loud validation. And historically, fighters in that position, they're dangerous. Very dangerous. But this is where you need to understand Franchon's path to victory. By any means necessary, you might as well call her Franchon X. So Franchon X, she not out here, she not trying to out-hype Claressa. She ain't out here about the BS. She trying to outlast her. And her approach, this is just my opinion, you know what I'm saying? I think it centers on the physical pressure, clinch strength, being able to bully Claressa around the ring, making Claressa work on the inside, turning the fight gritty when possible, just maul her, just be on her, maul her, make her uncomfortable, get her angry. And that's going to create more opportunities for Franchon to fight a messy fight opposed to a clean fight, which would benefit Claressa. Turn the fight gritty whenever possible and capitalizing on moments when Claressa presses way too hard. You see, Franchon doesn't need to dominate every round. She has to disrupt rhythm, steal moments, and stay competitive deep into the fight. And with the full camp, she now has the conditioning to do exactly that. However, I do believe the victor needs to be so dominant, like Bivol Canelo. Like that shit was so one-sided that you had to give Bivol the win. And there was O'Shaquie Foster, Ray Vargas. That shit was so crazy. The way O'Shaquie dismantled and destroyed that man, you had to give him the victory. So even if this whole thing with Claressa and Win Records, Demetrius Salita, the fight happening in Detroit, all the money on the line and the big deal with Claressa, even though you know that the person who is expected to win is Claressa. That's the person they want to win. It ain't Franchon. I'm not saying they're trying to set up anything, but what I'm saying is Franchon will lose her right to complain if she doesn't knock Claressa out. So to me, she's got to go in there and look to knock her out. But if not, the fight has to be so one-sided that even if they jerk her on the scorecards, the demand is going to be for an immediate rematch, robbery. And you know what? That shit's going to make Papoose look crazy. That shit's going to make Claressa look crazy. It's going to make Demetrius Salita look crazy. Win Records look crazy. If, in fact, that fight, well, you can clearly see that Franchon won the fight, all hell going to break loose on social media. Everybody. And that's where, you want to give everybody the benefit of the doubt and say there should be no BS. Because the reality is this. Franchon, she signed to Demetrius Salita too. So you would kind of think the promoter doesn't care who wins because the titles stay in-house. And then he can have the rematch. And if Claressa wins the rematch, then they can have another fight. But shit, that would be 5, 6, like 7 fights? It's a lot of damn fights, man. But anyway, we'll see what happens because with a full camp, she now has the conditioning to do exactly that, man. Remain very competitive. And, if it goes to the scorecards, hopefully she can dominate 10 out of the 12 rounds, but if not, she got to get a knockout. But if the fight's close, I do think Claressa gets the nod. That's just my opinion. I've been watching boxing for a while. I know how it is. I know how that shit can go. But the reality check, I just want to make sure I emphatically state this. There can't be any excuses from Franchon's side. And this is the most important truth of the rematch. There will be no valid excuses for either fighter after this fight. Claressa has the preparation, she has the experience, she has the support. Franchon has the time, conditioning, has the focus. So whoever wins does so on merit. If Claressa wins, it reasserts her dominance under fair conditions. If Franchon wins, by the way, y'all know she can sing? Franchon can sing. If Franchon wins or even pushes Claressa harder than expected, it permanently alters how this rivalry is viewed. So at the end of the day, you may say, yo, so what does this fight really represent? We're 30 days out. So who knows what happens between now and fight? Anything can happen. There's all kind of shit floating around out there. Y'all go on social media, y'all can read about it. I used to talk about a lot of it, and ain't nothing juicy enough for me to talk about, especially after learning that some of the things that are being put out there is a bit premature. I'm going to wait till we get something solid, and then I'll fairly talk about it, just like I'm doing right now. But my final thoughts on what really happens in this and what it represents, I'll tell you, I don't think this is about belts. Are they friends? Yes, they're friends. There's no doubt. They've been known each other since the amateurs. They fought 3 times and then had a fight as a pro. They know each other, man. Big sister, little sister. Like, that's no secret. But I do think it's about how the elite fighters handle pressure, how distractions impact preparation, whether discipline beats desire, and whether redemption requires silence or requires noise. For Claressa Shields, she wants to prove she's still untouchable, shut everybody up. Like, that's, you can tell, boy, she wants to shut everybody up. There's so many people out here who have harassed her, trolled her. She's created a lot of her own misery. She really has. But there are people out here who are just, they can't wait to see her lose. But one thing I've always said, you know, she's always been unpredictable. She's always been perfect. So it's kind of hard to go against Claressa in any fight because she's never lost. No one's ever figured out a way to beat her. And she has bubbled up 5 weight divisions. Doesn't matter what you think about the opponents. The fact is she's cleared 5 weight divisions. That's a pretty big deal, man. So Claressa wants to prove she's untouchable. Still untouchable. Franchon wants to prove she was never given a fair shot the first time. But I'm going to say this, and I'm going to be watching it closely. 30 days from now, somebody's narrative changes forever. Something else going to happen between now and then, and we're going to talk about it. Who y'all got winning? 30 days out. Guess we're going to find out, huh? Uh-oh, did I mess this shit up? Guess I should have did this a little bit better, huh? Did this whole damn interview with that thing all screwed up. But it doesn't matter anyway, I'm done. Anyway, y'all keep cool. Shout out to the veterans, all 7 continents. In the breeze.